single to long leg.
Hey, Elder, I've only got 10 minutes. I'm as dry as a bone. You got a brew one? What the heck's this?
In that grass green.
Flaming heck. You'll have that tube worn out before we had it 5 flipping minutes.
Right, you're in a masterful mood this afternoon, Stanley.
Listen, I just invited Betty in to bombard her eyes with glorious
Invite the
colour.
whole street in, will you? Put a notice outside. Liberty Hall, eh?
Stanley, there's no need to get all toffee nose just because we've got a status symbol.
Oh, heck, they're off. I'm going.
No offence, Chuck.
Toodaloo.
Right. Item 1, bragging.
Bragging?
Blobber chopsing about that thing. I warned you, didn't I?
Stan, keep your voice down a little.
Let them all hear. Item 2, housekeeping.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm a bit short, love. If
Now,
you've got a
don't
quick
try and
voice,
dodge the issue. Since that thing came in here, I've had a shake now.
Now, Stan, remember your blood pressure.
In the world of black and white, there are still things like washing and scrubbing and getting meals on the table on time. You can't live on a diet of glorious colour, you know.
Calm down, Chuck, you're going on.
I suppose if I got a knob at the back of my head, you'd turn the tone down now, wouldn't you? Never could do things by house, could you? Same about our first wireless.
Oh, yeah. Snuggling in bed to the strains of Geraldo.
Ah, getting shocks off the electric batteries. There's an old saying, enough is as good as a feast. The hose has gone to cock while you sit there goggling. Only yesterday I obliged you by taking my trousers off, didn't I?
Stanley, no vulgarity.
Has that stain been removed yet, as it echoes like? You sit there watching those cricketers in lily-white flannels, and I've got a decent pair of stripes to my name.
Stan, have I been neglecting you, Chuck? Never you mind, love. I'll have them trousers clean, pressed and spotless for you to put on tonight. Now sit down and make you a nice cup of tea.
It's so flipping hot you could boil a flipping kettle on it.
Well, that's the end of the oven. I'll give you the bowler's analysis.
Hurry up, Chuck, will you?
Drinks are now on their way.
I've left Langton stuck under a sink.
There. All cleared out, lined, scented. Your bottom drawer. Hey, lavender. And in pride of place, my first and as yet only engagement present. One set of lace pillow slips. They really are beautiful, Lucille. I shall treasure them.
Oh, I dare say you'll have a dozen pairs before the week's through.
Oh, nevertheless, there's something about lace. There's something about old customs that makes it all magical. I remember how my mother loved to relate the tale of her courtship, engagement, wedding day. She made it all seem so right, so fine. Such a reverent and yet joyful course of events.
Well, you're on the way yourself, aren't you? I mean, proposal, engagement, party, presents. Well, present. Hey, and the thing I'm dying to see most... Well, he has got you one, hasn't he?
The ring. Oh, Lucille, I believe it's perfection. When I think of Ernest carrying it around all those weeks while we were at 6s and 7s.
Come on, lads. Sorry. Dead, is it, Ernest?
Yeah.
Yeah, dead, buried and thoroughly deceased, I'd say. Hey, what's up? Have you lost 10 bob and found a tanner?
Lost? What makes you say that? I've lost nothing.
Oh, well, that's a very good thing to lose, isn't it? I mean, can you imagine how funny it'd look up on the notice board? Lost nothing, reward nothing. Oh, hey, and that reminds me, is there a notice board in the community centre?
Yeah.
When are we in order to pin things on it? I say, you listening? Oh, courting takes folks in some very funny ways. Right, Mrs. Chippendale, I'll finish off. Oh, it's a rum do. Ernest, don't forget to shut the back door when you go out, will you, love? I do dislike strange dogs. Ernest, much as I sympathise with you in your loss, I do think that, to say the least of it, your searching methods are unsystematic.
I'm just attempting to retrace my steps.
If your engagement ring had been mislaid within the 4 walls of this establishment, it would certainly have come to light by now.
The classic procedure is to retrace your steps.
Ernest, you're being a bit foolish, don't you think?
Now, Stan Ogden was sat there. I was sat here.
This sort of behaviour, Ernest, is bound to lead to idle gossip.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Walker, but I just feel it could be right here under my nose.
Look, these rumours, as I well know, they run like wildfire. Mrs. Ogden, for instance, is already very intrigued by your antics. How long do you think it'll be before your fiancé gets wind of them?
Oh, please, Mrs. Walker, for the time being, not a word. It could turn up.
Oh, well, cling to straws if you must, Ernest. All I know is that your bride-to-be is upstairs, full of anticipation, making her arrangements, and in my judgment, this secrecy is just not fair to her.
don't think I'm being over-methodical.
No, that list looks like you've got it all taped.
Well, I should hate to have people apply the word fiasco in this instance. The days when Nugent went with fiasco, like bacon goes with eggs, well, I'm determined that those days are gone.
Start of a new era, so to speak.
Exactly, Lucille. A new life, a new beginning, in which fiascos are things of the past. Come in. Oh, Ernest, I must show you. Look what Lucille's given us.
Oh, very nice, Lucille. Thanks very much.
Aren't they beautiful? We've been sitting here making lists.
Guarding against all eventualities. Hey, could I ask, or would it be violating some code of etiquette or something corny like that?
I think it might, actually.
Oh, well, as long as you keep it safe.
See you at tea.
What do you mean by that? Keep what safe?
I'm afraid I've been boasting about, well, the engagement ring. I've had it so vividly described. Still, I suppose it would be best to keep it tucked away somewhere safe till the day.
To tell you the truth, Emily, I can't show you the ring now because...
Oh, I quite understand. I have strong feelings, too, about keeping to custom and observing tradition.
The fact is, Emily...
It doesn't matter, Ernest. I can wait. After all, a ring is only a symbol.
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. That's all it is.
A token. To be treasured. Especially when it stands for true feeling.
You don't take things very lightly, do you, Emily?
Well, I hope I don't attach undue importance, Ernest. I just want to show that I sympathise with your feelings about, well, what should we call it? The appropriate moment, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which isn't all that far off.
No, it's getting closer every minute.
And I've plenty to keep me happily occupied till it arrives. I do hope I've got everything down. Most of the items, thank goodness, are ticked off as done.
All costed and priced.
Well, I'm trying to budget. You don't think I'm being over-extravagant?
Well, no, but we should keep something in reserve.
Oh, yes, you're right. We never know what extra expense is liable to crop up.
We don't indeed.
Mind you, I think my list's quite comprehensive. There is a question mark against refreshments. Do you think we might want a bottle or two of wine? A nice sweet sherry, perhaps?
Oh, let's make a proper do of it.
Oh, well, that leaves just one little problem. I say little, but Mrs. Sharples. Winning her cooperation could have quite a bearing on the success of the occasion.
Oh, I'm sure you'll succeed.
Well, I've made a note. Brackets impossible, question mark. Is it defeatist? Well, whether or not, I shall have to try soon.
Oh, here's where you're hiding, is it?
That floor bringing your muck in.
Well, I've been all over.
Folks never seem to finish tramping in, tramping out. What's to do?
Well, finally, I caught a little whiff of wax polish, so I just followed my nose.
Like a bloodhound, leaving your paw marks all over the
Oh,
place.
it makes everywhere smell so lovely and clean, doesn't it? It makes an impression.
Takes a sight more elbow grease than pulling pints at the Rovers.
Committee will be in session tonight, will they? Sat solemnly round, seeing the fat faces in the table. Hey, you'll be in their good books, I shouldn't wonder.
There's only one good book I take notice of at my time of life, and the good Lord has wrote it has no truck with committees. Anyway, what you selling?
I'm not selling anything. I just want permission to put this little notice up there.
Oh, talking about notices, you know there's one that goes, no hawkers, no vagabonds, bill posters will be prosecuted.
Well, it's not up anywhere.
Oh, it well should be, mothering me with your pin-ups. You should ask Mr. Bishop or Miss Nugent. It's their province.
Oh, I've seen them. All they're doing is rhyming things with June, and it isn't a pin-up, it's a notice.
Well, there's the notice board. No drawing pins supplied.
I've broke my own.
There was a box, but I managed to lose it. Mrs. Braddock was always leaving instructions. Memo to caretaker. Toilet could do with attention. 10 years ago, to wrap the seat round her neck. Hey, you're not advertising a dance, are you?
Oh, don't be daft.
Oh, anyway, you give me an idea.
Oh, aye. Pinching my brains again,
Yes,
are
I'll
you?
pinch two of your pins while I'm at it. I'll give 'em notice. I'll teach 'em to spring things. You know that Tony Bishop and his beloved are celebrating their engagement the day after tomorrow here in this very room.
Yeah, I know, I heard last week.
And all I've had's an invite through the post this morning. Not official of any sort. Now then, I ask you, what kind of notice is that?
There you are, Chuck. 2 pins. And they're not for sticking in people. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra. Bridge group. They'll be after fox hunting next. Right, Ernie Bishop. For all the lines on my forehead, there's a few lines for you to worry about.
Well, Ernest, how did she take the bad news? Sensibly, if I know Miss Nugent.
Could we discuss it in your private quarters, Mrs. Walker? Would you mind? Just a word.
Oh, very well, off to you.
I couldn't bring myself to tell her, Mrs. Walker. No, I couldn't work round to it, and I didn't want to just blurt it out, because she's so full of, well, faith in me.
Well, a faith that at the moment seems somewhat misplaced.
Well, what am I to do, Mrs. Walker? I've looked, I've searched, I've been to the police, there's been no report on it, nobody's found it. Or if they have, they're not telling.
Well, if you're determined to maintain this secrecy, all you can do is obtain a replacement.
The trouble is, it wasn't insured, and at this moment of time, my pocket won't run to another one as good. Not with all the other demands on it.
Well, all I can offer is advice.
I'm not on the cadge.
I didn't imply that you were.
You could question the staff. Discreetly, of course.
Well, I know that had occurred to me, but I refrained from doing so because I dislike the atmosphere that sort of inquiry creates.
It could just produce some sort of a clue.
Yes, well, obviously you haven't a very high opinion of my staff.
It's not a matter of my opinion or yours, Mrs.
You
Walker.
showed that very clearly when you wouldn't let them officiate at your engagement party.
Oh, that was just a question of venues.
If you are looking for a clue...
I'm looking for an engagement ring. An engagement ring worth £100 that I last had out of its box in that bar sat at a table with Mr. Stan Ogden.
Mr. Ogden, precisely. The gentleman who now owns a colour TV set.
No, I can't bring myself to believe.
The gentleman whose wife sweeps out that bar every day of the week.
Well, do you think you could possibly ask her if, you know, by any chance...
Oh, no, Ernest. You must ask her yourself.
Kremlin engaged, was it? Oh, Lucille, you gave me quite a start. Or was it the White House? Beg your pardon? Well, from the way he dropped that phone, I thought he was on the outline. Oh, I was about to contact Mrs. Sharples, but my courage failed at the death, so to speak.
Well, you'll never talk around on the phone.
Well, I must admit, whatever medium of communication I choose, Mrs. Sharples invariably tests my powers of diplomacy to their limits.
She's got what's called a conditioned reflex. You know, I mean, the phone rings and she's automatically scowling.
I suppose for her it's one more manifestation of this modern age.
Come again?
Well, to her it would represent the impersonal voice of authority.
Said one psychology book to the other.
I mean, she could well see answering it as yet another unwelcome duty incumbent upon her.
Like flower shows or engagement parties?
Precisely, Lucille.
Oh, chin up, we all know she can be a cantankerous old battle axe.
Especially when faced with a rather inadequate morsel of humanity like myself.
Well, my advice to you is be straight with her. Your fella would tell you the same. She respects that.
You're right. The phone in this instance would be an evasion. Ernest dislikes evasion. Ernest would have it out, face to face.
At a girl.
Come on in. Stan! Mr. Bishop again. Oh, look, the telly's still on. Excuse me. Still, spot of colour brightens the room up, wouldn't you say?
Quite an expensive bit of colour, I'd say.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, most people would make do with a vase of flowers. Still, it all depends on your sense of priority.
My priority at the moment is that you'll snack here and nip down to Rovers.
Yeah, so what was it he was wanting then, Mr. Bishop?
Well, in a roundabout way, Mrs. Ogden, it was to do with your job at the Rovers.
Oh, aye, in charge of all cleaning and equipment.
Ah, that's her herself and a sweeping brush, you know.
I'm curious as to what procedure you would adopt if you just happened to pick something up off the floor.
Oh, fat chance of that with the poverty-stricken lot you get drinking down there.
No gold dust in their pockets, mate.
No. What's happened then, Mr. Bishop? Somebody dropped something in your studio out there and you're wondering whether to hang on like.
I once saw $50 on the floor there, put my foot on it, and closing time, in my pocket.
When was that, you cunning devil? You never split it with me.
So, finders keepers is your motto, is it? I see.
Where's this leading?
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, I've lost a valuable ring, and I've reason to believe it was mislaid in the Rovers.
I don't like your drift, mate.
Hey, are you trying to make out I found your flaming ring and flogged it or something?
Well, did you find it? Because from what you've been
Did
saying...
shakers like find it?
There's no need to start blackguarding.
No need, there's every flipping need.
Accusing me?
I'm not accusing, I'm only inquiring.
Well, go down and accuse Annie Walker then. Anybody dropped anything valuable, her beady eyes wouldn't give you a chance.
Have a foot on your fingers when you're picking it up.
Don't worry, I've questioned her already.
Oh, aye, all la-di-da, I bet. No muck being thrown her way. Oh, no, it all lands on my head.
Class distinction. Drop your H's round here, you're halfway to jug.
Ah, so the knives are out again, are they? Oh, aye. Ogdens keep coal in the bath, that's what they were saying when I was after a shower. Ogdens think the gas meter's a money box. What do you think we bought that flipping TV colour set with? Brass farthings?
Yes, I've been wondering about that too.
You're all flaming jealous.
Wondering? Wondering what?
Well...
Go on, spit it out.
It is an item of conspicuous expenditure, isn't it?
Well, what's that when it's a town?
Well, the police do. You've seen on TV, you know, if anything's missing, money missing, they see which criminal's spending it.
Oh, so we're classed as criminals now, are we? And you've come here poking and prying to see what we've got?
Look, for my own peace of mind, I had to ask.
Here, well, make an invention, Rick. Go on, count the flaming teaspoons while you're at it. Everything in this house is bought and paid for.
British Rail.
Hey, give me the horse. I'm a deceit flipping legal aid, I am.
Yeah, get some first aid now while you're at it, because that's what you're going to need, Mr. Sanctimonious Bishop, if you come in here again with your incineration.
If you ask me, you flogged it yourself and spent the money on a floozy.
Yeah, very dodgy you fellas what wear Max. Bah, heck, wait till I see that Emily Nugent. I'll scorch her prim little ears off the tale I've got to tell.
Digested it, have you?
Digested what, Mrs. Sharpless?
Well, not your dinner.
A little message. Yes, well, let me explain. The thing is, we don't want you to go to any great lengths.
Oh, you can set your mind at rest on that score.
I mean, the room's looking delightful this morning.
Well, it's had a good doing.
It's a credit to you, indeed.
Well, it was hard work, I can tell you. That Mrs. Cross has never give it more than a lick and a promise.
I'm sure the committee will second me in saying as much.
Record it in the minutes, will they?
Oh, indubitably. Credit where credit's due, Mrs. Sharpless.
Muck and me all as fell out. I don't need no tin pot committees to urge me on to fight the good fight.
Oh, we're all aware of the high standards you set yourself.
Yes, and you're all watching like hawks to see they don't slip.
Oh, believe me, Mrs. Sharpless, in all good faith. One of the reasons we decided to hold our little celebration here in your domain, so to speak...
Was to spite Annie Walker?
Indeed it was not. It was because of your reputation for scrupulous cleanliness.
Oh, it's too late for flannel, you must take pot luck.
Oh, if we have been a little, well, shall we say, remiss in informing you, it's because we didn't want you to spend days preparing.
Well, whether or not, you can't expect miracles at such short notice.
As long as the room's more or less as it is now.
Let me tell you something, lass. When the good Lord comes to my dwelling place, he'll find a clean house. He'll find the step donkey stoned. He'll find the brass rubbed, shining and golden. He'll find the pots washed, put away in the cupboard, and the dish rag hung up to dry. He'll find everything in its place, and me upstairs waiting. That's how he'll find my house, Emily Nugent. And yours too, I reckon. Because I'll say this for you, you know hair 'em, scare 'em. You deserve proper treatment, and that's what I'll give you.
It's the rain, you know. Could have been washed down the grid. Could be in the Irwell by an hour. Even the sea, you know. Gosh. You know what you want to do, don't you? Offer a reward. Surprising how things get found when there's a reward, you know. Oh.
Bye, ex-Stanley, you're still slipping. 10 minutes precious boozing time gone and not a drop soaked.
I haven't come for the ale.
Not after ale? Well, I'm very sorry. At the sight of you, this pint pot automatically jumped into my hand.
Perhaps the acquisition of colour TV has given Mr. Ogden a taste for champagne.
1 magnum of mix. Will that be it, Stanley?
Oh, very comical. I want to word with Mrs. Walker in private on a personal matter.
They may give you credit on colour TV, I don't know, but none is given here.
You don't want credit, there's no need for it. I want to discuss a little thing that happened a few days ago.
If you're referring to a certain incident...
I can argue out here if you like. I'm easy.
Oh, very well. Come through if you must.
Right.
Hey, what were all that about?
Stan seemed annoyed about something. They've gone it back for a conflab.
Don't like falling out in public, I don't suppose. Not since you joined the select 10% of those that do the viewing in colour.
Have you noticed young Lochinvar?
Hardly the picture of the impetuous bridegroom-to-be, is he?
Is he having second thoughts, do you reckon?
Dunno. You were in here all lunchtime, too. Ooh, well gone closing time. Nothing had shift him.
Well, perhaps he's making up for lost time before Goody-Goody Gumdrops gets the ball and chain round his leg.
Oh, you youngsters. Oh, you're that cynical. Emily Nugent's brought light into that fella's life.
It's waiting. Show me a moment. Must just buy Mrs. Sharples a comradely drink. Whatever Mrs. Sharples wants, I'll pay as I come out.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had such a good day. All doubts removed, obstacles tackled. Everything's working out wonderfully.
Lucille in, is she?
Well, I heard that instrument of torture booming away, the thing that they call a record player, you know.
Oh, well, tell her I'd like a word with her in the snug, will you?
Right on.
Good help.
Hey, Betty.
What?
Have a crafty listen to a secret session while you're in back, kid.
Oh, give over. Beneath me, that is, isn't it?
Mr. Ogden, I refuse to accept that I am in any way to blame.
Was in your pub.
I'm not answerable for everything that transpires.
Ariel reckons we can claim.
Look, whatever the damage is, I am not responsible. Mr. Bishop spilled the beer on you. Ask him.
Ah, but some beer stains worse than others. I should know. I've had enough beer poured over me in my time.
You amaze me.
It's the sugar content, and yours has got more than most, I tell you. There's a big stain on my new working trousers. I can't even walk down the street.
Mr. Ogden, my heart bleeds for you. Stay here and I'll see what I can do.
Well, due thanks, Mrs. Sharples. I really am grateful.
It's bending the rules a bit, but I've been persuaded.
I'm overwhelmed, I really am. Hey, can I just go over these favours you're letting me do?
Oh, when I do a good turn, I don't need a trumpet sounded before me, but go on, make me blush.
Well, firstly, I take it you're letting me help with the arrangements for Miss Nugent's engagement party.
Extorted under pressure.
You graciously allow me to carry the tables in.
You mark them walls and you're for it.
You grudgingly allow me to look after the crocks.
One breakage and you're banned.
And favour of favours, you're going to let me butter the bread, but not a crumb must I drop.
One crumb and you're convicted, sentenced and hung.
Well, Mrs. Sharples, thank you very much for the big chance you've given me.
Oh, think now about it. Oh, just one thing more. You can swim, can you? You're used to water.
10 lengths of the bath only last night.
Good. In that case, you can mop the floor as well.
The Ogdens really are incorrigible.
Oh, that sounds nasty.
Oh, is it catching?
Hey, we had a dog once and had to be put down for that.
Why is it that words of more than one syllable have this strange effect?
Where is that big hunk of mantan?
If you mean Mr. Ogden, he's left.
Is he on the cadge?
Cadging indeed.
Do you know the Beggar's Opera were written for Stan and Hilda?
I have never, in the whole of my life, known a couple who would go to such lengths to obtain something for nothing.
Oh, I told her straight. Threatened to sue.
And she rooted round, did she, and come up with this? I knew she'd have some.
Ah, that's what I always do.
Yeah, well, she owed it us, you know. It did happen in her pub.
I told her that.
Not right, you should have to go around with beer stains all over your breeches just 'cause a fella like Bishop gets in a state through her rotten chemic.
Of course, we could charge her for the cleaning, you know.
Yeah, we will and all if this doesn't work. You know, I'm brassed off with being shot at. It's time we put our finger on the trigger.
I agree.
Right now. Right. Here, Job. You hold them up while I apply as per instructions.
Right, wait a minute. Hey.
What?